Verse 607. If there is any other existence born of concatenation, this goes against the law of concatenation. Those who hold this view are not established in the principles of correct reasoning. Back in verse 600 we heard about this concatenation for the first time, and there it was called the theory of concatenation, and now it's described as the law of concatenation. It'd be quite nice if it was stated what this law of concatenation is. But given that it's not been stated what it is, we have to look and see for ourselves. And where do we look? We look to our immediate experiencing. So this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about it in a general sense, and then we're going to look a little bit more deeply. The law of concatenation is that by which we construct our own reality. And as we know from before, our reality is constructed from two major influences. And one is the conventional reality, the culture which we grow up within, which we're educated in. And the second factor is to do with our own psychological disposition, our own moods, our own mood habits. So what I'm going to do in this video is apply the law of concatenation to both these factors. So let's have a look at this verse. If there's any other existence born of concatenation, this goes against the law of concatenation. So in this modern culture that we live, let's call it a post-traditional culture, because we're not talking about traditional values here, we're talking about that culture which through science and technology has allowed us to take greater command of our environment. Science and technology has allowed us to eradicate many illnesses. It's allowed us to have water available in our homes at the turn of a tap. It's allowed us to have electricity to provide us with heating and warmth, with heating and light at the flick of a switch. It allows these great vehicles of transport, trains and aeroplanes, to take us from one place to another. And we've got this massive technology which we can carry around in us in the form of our mobile phones, and we can use it to keep in touch with our nearest and dearest, no matter where they are on the planet. So this is all very wonderful. But there's another side to it. We tend to give these scientists and technologists an assumed authority. It's a physicist that many of us look to now for some understanding on a metaphysical level about how the universe came into being and about the nature of reality. Many people who no longer subscribe to conventional religions, they look to the physicists for the latest on the nature of reality. And that picture has changed over the centuries. The picture of reality that the physicists present to us has changed. But there's one factor that hasn't changed, and this is the factor I want to look at because it affects us. And this is the factor that says that reality is other than what is presented to us. But reality isn't about colours and sounds and feelings. It's about atoms, molecules. It's about space. It's about energy, vibrations. It's about quantum mechanics, probabilities, all these sorts of things. That's what reality is. And so what can we do except say, oh, okay, if I want to know about reality, I have to go and learn about quantum mechanics or something along those lines. That is somehow more real than anything I might personally know. So this is actually the dark side. And this is what we can understand here by this phrase: if there's any other existence born of concatenation, if there's any other reality born of concatenation. Because that reality of quantum physics and whatnot, is also born of concatenation. And this concatenation is the establishment of patterns. So looking for patterns. This is what mathematics is about. Looking and identifying patterns. And to somehow say that this is more real than any other form of pattern discovery or creation, well, this goes against the law of concatenation, because it's just the same thing. It is just the same thing. It is not more real. It is simply the part of our psyches, the part of consciousness, which is good at looking for patterns. This is how we make our way through life. We find patterns and navigate accordingly. Some patterns might be better at navigating through, but that doesn't make them more real. For example, a map might be very accurate and help us get from A to B. Does that make it more real than all the scenery and events that we might experience as we go from A to B? Should we just ignore the scenery and focus on the map? The map is not more real. And that's all science gives us. It gives us a map. And yet we give science the authority that determines our reality, that tells us what is more real and what isn't. So this is something we have to watch out for if we are such a person who no longer subscribes to traditional religion and takes great heart in the explorations of the physicists. We need to reclaim our own authority to realize reality. So the second phrase in this verse seems a little strange. Those who hold this view that there is some kind of truth, some sort of remote truth which is not immediately accessible, then they're not establishing the principles of correct reasoning. They're actually taking us further away from reality. Instead of pointing us to here, to the center of consciousness, they're actually taking us further away and telling us that we must explore advanced mathematics, advanced physics textbooks, and keep directing the attention outwards. So there's probably nothing wrong with the reasoning in itself, but the reasoning which is supposed to be taking us to reality has been completely subverted. It's going in the wrong direction. If we want to know reality, we have to go beyond this law of concatenation, this tendency to want to be looking for patterns, for understanding. We need to come back to the immediacy of our own experience. And that can be an uphill struggle in the face of our conventional education, conventional understanding. So that's the law of concatenation as applied to conventional reality, conventional understanding. So let's go further in then. Let's go further in to the heart of consciousness and look at the next barrier. The next barrier being our psychological disposition. And we can see how the law of concatenation applies here. I'll come back to my own experience, which is still one of physical discomfort. The past few weeks I've barely been able to move my neck and head without tremendous discomfort. It seems to want to lock up. So it's natural for me to say, I'm in discomfort, I'm experiencing pain. And here we've got the law of concatenation. There's two things which I've joined together. There's the feeling of pain and this notion of I. I am in pain. And the fact is, there is simply pain. But another reality gets constructed through concatenation by joining up this pain with the notion of I. There's an I here experiencing this pain. Poor I. Poor me. What can I do about it? What can I do to alleviate my pain? How long is it going to go on for? It's been going on for long enough already. How am I supposed to cope with it? What other medications can I look for? And so it goes. So we've got this whole story, not just of the pain, but of me being in pain. Poor me, struggling to cope with the daily demands and the need to get by somehow. What a drama can be constructed. So this is the reality based on psychological disposition. Perhaps some people will just get on with it. Some people manage to remain cheerful in spite of their afflictions. Some people are completely flattened by them. Some people spin a huge personal drama, one of some kind of martyrdom around them. So this is concatenation. But there is simply pain. And when we look at what pain is, the very word itself, the associations with that word itself, again, this is part of the psychological disposition. The very word pain almost seems to conjure up pain, doesn't it? So much so that if I said, could pain actually be something nice? You might think I've lost my marbles. Perhaps we shouldn't use the word pain at all, because it's so easily loaded. It's already a value judgment on whatever is going on. It's saying that something which is not, it is saying that something not nice is going on. So the word pain is already a value judgment. So we shouldn't really say there is simply pain. And in this way we can observe sensations and stop, and in doing so stop fueling some drama. Stop automatically subscribing to the law of concatenation. We can then come back to awareness. This is a challenging one, because it's the nature of such sensations to want to suck us in, to the notion of pain, to the story of pain and its concatenations. But perhaps this is something that we can practice.